Julian Rush, well, with me now is one of those who might be tempted to build nuclear power stations here in Britain if the Energy Review finds in their favour. He's Vincent de Rivaz, the Chief Executive of EDF Energy. And from Oxfordshire, I'm joined by the environmental campaigner and writer George Monbiot, who says he now realises renewable energy sources alone will not plug the energy gap. Well, watching Julian Rush's piece and indeed hearing today's developments, you must begin to think that the tide has turned on nuclear power. George Monbiot.
Well, it's not necessarily turned on nuclear power, but I fear it's turning against renewables. I set out this week to demonstrate that renewables, if there was a good energy storage technology, could actually meet all our electricity needs. And I'm afraid to say I demonstrated the opposite, that even with quite severe energy efficiency measures, we'd still be 23 gigawatts short. So we have to make a hard choice. We have to choose between fossil fuels with carbon burial to avoid the greenhouse effect or nuclear power. My own choice is for gas with carbon burial, but that has its own problems, of course.
But what really was unusual about an article which The Guardian suggested one needed 2 aspirins and ice packs to get through was that you didn't shut the door on nuclear.
No, and that's because I recognise we are now faced with a very, very difficult choice. The problem with gas, which is my favourite option, is that it is insecure. We have to get it from Algeria or Iran, places like that. The only way in which it could be made secure is if we massively upgrade our gas storage facilities, for example, pumping it into our old depleted gas fields and using those as a sort of giant gas storage reservoirs.
Right, but let me just push you on the nuclear
is.
issue, because well, many people will wonder. I mean, I have Mr. de Rivaz here, and he's a French energy man, but he's bringing energy into this country already from France, already nuclear generated. What's the difference between him bringing it in from France under the Channel and building a power station here and making it here?
Well, the reason I'm still largely against nuclear is that the shysters who have been running that industry in this country have cut every possible corner. They've used every ruse, every form of secrecy, non-transparency you can imagine, and they have dumped nuclear waste here, there and everywhere. And I have so far seen nothing which persuades me that anything is going to be different with a new generation of nuclear power stations.
Well,
I don't want these guys in charge of our energy once more.
Let's put that specific point to him. The anxiety is what happens to the waste, and also the fact that the figures in terms of the cost effectiveness of nuclear power are so blurred. The insurance, the long-term decommissioning costs, the rest of it. You can't make a commercial case for nuclear, can you?
I think, first of all, we have to welcome the decision of the government to launch this energy review. It will be a great opportunity for this country to reach, I hope, a consensus, a cross-party support for a long-term policy and support from the public opinion. Because we are now settling policies for generations, not for one parliament. And I think this consensus will come from the inputs of many parties. And we have a very interesting input here, and there are many others. We are going to contribute constructively to this debate, and I think at the end of the day, the diversity may appear as the right answer to the 3 big challenges that this country is facing: security of supply, global warming, and the price of energy, which are rising up and up.
But that is the difficulty. It's so difficult to have this debate because we don't really know what you do. We don't really know what your eventual plans are for disposal, how much it's going to cost us, and who pays the insurance bill if anything goes wrong. I mean, at the moment, nuclear power in this country is feather-bedded. You would accept that. 56 billion paid by the taxpayer to decommission what we have.
I think we have to look forward. For instance, the question of replacing the aging nuclear plants will not add to the past problems. They will fix and contribute to fix the issues for the future. What I would like to say is that I think it would be right in this debate to enter with being pro-nuclear or pro-renewable and pro-gas and pro-coal and against all the others. Personally, I do believe that diversity is the right answer, and my company is really meaning that. We are in clean coal, we are in gas, we are in renewables, we are in energy savings. We should never forget the importance of energy savings. And when the government will have fixed its policy, when the framework will be given, a stable framework, we will contemplate, like others, the possibility to invest. And I would like to say...
Let me just ask you this, because you're a commercial entity.
Absolutely.
Could you provide electricity with nuclear power without asking me, the taxpayer, to pay anything for the decommissioning or the insurance?
I am very clear. There is no subsidies begged by any investors in the current new technology for nuclear. There is no subsidies.
You can do it without any cost to us.
I do believe that the market will deliver, provided that there is a stable framework and the policy of the government is determined for the long run.
Let me just see if the man whose ideas you heard and thought were interesting agrees. I mean, do you accept that if it was a completely set regime, it might be possible to produce nuclear power commercially? George Monbiot.
The government's, the consultants that the government's been listening to, Oxera, say that a new generation of nuclear power stations in this country would require a £1.6 billion subsidy from the taxpayer if it were to work. Not only that, but there is a huge hidden subsidy for nuclear power, which is that the public pays the cost of insurance. Commercial insurers will not back nuclear power for obvious reasons, and so the government picks up the tab. That could become very expensive indeed if there's a nuclear accident.
Those two final points to you then, insurance and subsidy. You said no subsidy, but the government's own consultant, according to George Monbiot, are saying just that.
I think, George, and I would say that to anyone, I think we should accept this open debate. It is a good opportunity to put all the elements of the debate on the table. I do think that the economics stack up, the numbers add up, the nuclear can be competitive, and when you see some countries like Finland, France, US moving towards nuclear, they are all in market economy, and nuclear contribute to the big challenges of this country.
Right.
Security of supply, very important. Global warming, extremely important. And the price rising up and up. We have to fix that for our customers.
Well, we're at the very beginning of this process. Vincent de Rivaz, George Monbiot, thank you both very much indeed. Now, tailbacks, accidents, abandoned cars, Britain in